We're live. It's great to see you. Hope you're doing well. Q&A. I think I'll do a Q&A. What is the hardest addiction? What is the hardest addiction to quit? That was what I wanted to do, and then the whole screen broke. What is the hardest addiction to quit? Boom. All right, let's then and now get into these questions. I'll actually put it down here for the moment as I answer some of the earlier ones. But before I do that, I'll plug a few things here. You know yourself. My name's Gary. I go by Gary the Expert. This is the Bulletproof app that I have on my phone, on your phone. You can download it right now. And I help people with addiction. I'm an addiction therapist. I'm very grateful to say that. I was an ex-addict, and I'm looking to help some people. In today's chat, I'm going to answer some questions. I am limited by the time I have today, but we can still make good progress here and today. All right. If you're new here, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. So let's get into answering some of these questions. What do I feel fine after a few days of sober and then suddenly I want to use again? Very interesting question. It's kind of like Monday, for example. Sunday you'll never use again. Monday you'll never use again. Tuesday you'll never use again. Wednesday it's like that's a distant memory in the past. Thursday I don't want to use, but it's Thursday. Friday you get a text message off the lads. Friday you're feeling a bit more interested. Or Friday you're like, I've got no plans. Why wouldn't I go to use today? Why wouldn't I go out with the lads who I love? I love the lads. Why wouldn't I go out with the lads today? So there we go. Then we have a challenge, and then we want to go back using. You want to go back using because you're friends. Maybe you're dry sniffing and you're not doing that. Maybe you're going back because you're feeling lost, or maybe you're coming back because of the elements of stress. Wrong question number one here. If you just joined, I appreciate you. I should actually get my other devices linked up here. Get a bit of watch time. If you're new here, hit the like button. I'm Gary. I go by Gary the Expert. I'm an ex-addict, and I'm trying to help people all around the world with addiction. So, your friends possibly texting you. You are having possibly a stressful day, stressful week, stressful month. So that's why, again, you want to go back to your old familiarity, your safe place, the old, like, you've forgotten about the consequences and damages of just a couple of days ago. Literally just a couple of days ago. So these triggers and these cues, and maybe I'll last it up at the last point the fourth one for this, I'll wrap it up on this, is that you've got so much cues, so much intention, so much triggers, so much friends, so much mind space, particularly around the idea of using, that it's very hard for you not to want to use in a couple of days. That's why so much people have cravings, so much people have triggers, so much people struggle with it. So that's number one. Number two, what is it? What do I do in the exact 10 minutes after craving hits so I don't act on it? I don't understand why it's like 10 minutes after the craving. Craving is where you're probably going to go use. One, recognize your thoughts aren't your thoughts. Literally. Those thoughts aren't your thoughts for that moment, for those instances, like you can get away with it, they're not your thoughts. It'll be the last time, they're not your thoughts. Just this once, that's not your thought. Right, those aren't your thoughts. Although you're hearing them when you're having a craving, don't believe them. What you can do and should do is call a sponsor, call a therapist, call a friend, call someone. So when you have those 10 minutes, you're not listening to your own BS belief systems. You know yourself, not bullshit, even though it's absolute bullshit. So in this moment, in 10 minutes, call a friend, a sponsor, recognize your thoughts aren't your thoughts. It's not going to be the last time. It's not going to be you're not going to get away with it this time. Those thoughts are trying to convince you to use, so recognize those things. You can also do urge surfing. Urge surfing is a tool, a technique, and a thing that you could do that would help you. All right, let me just change my microphone here for a bit. So there's two things you could do, right? Now, there's actually about 4 things I answered for that question. If you've got a question in the comment section, by the way, drop in a question. I'd love to know the answer to that question. What is the hardest addiction that you think is to quit? What is the hardest addiction you think it is to quit? Let me know. All right, I'm going to change my microphone out real fast, and hopefully it just does it smoothly. Nothing crazy. Hit the like button. If you have a struggle with addiction, I'm going to try to help you as much as possible and I'll answer some of these questions. Hi mate, I have Down syndrome as well. Big respect for streaming. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. That's hilarious on many levels. Sad on some levels, but it's okay. All right, number 3. How do I tell the difference between a real need, stress, hunger, loneliness, and an excuse to use? Well, again, I would say the premise is baked in there. You've got a problem. Hey, Clara, I love that name actually. I can tell you for many reasons why I love that name, but it's a good name. All right, I appreciate you for saying hi. And do you know the answer to this question, or what is your opinion on this question, Clara, and also how to tell? All right, how do I tell the difference between a real need, stress, loneliness, hunger, compared to an excuse to use? Gambling, Jake, that's a good one for sure. I actually have such a fantastic success rate with gambling. Gambling for me genuinely is very easy to help people with. What I personally find hard to help people with is codeine tablets or benzodiazepines, these types of medication pills where people are just hooked on them. Street tablets, you can call them. Meth is obviously a kingpin, 100%. And so how do you tell the difference again? Go back to this question, which I really appreciate the comments. Keep them coming in and tell me what more addictions do you think is hard or the hardest. Hit the subscribe button. I've got an app on the App Store as well while you're all here. I've got two books. I'm a best-selling author. I'll say it all. I was an ex-addict as well, right, for all of these things. A real need or an excuse to use. I think they're all excuses to use, and you don't have a real need to go use those substances. It's a real desire to go use those things. The stress that you're having, the hunger that you're having, the loneliness, smoking is a quality answer. It's legal, it's sociable, it's acceptable, and then here you go. You've got this element of a couple of euros, couple of pounds, couple of dollars, and people just want to love and use that. So, brilliant. You don't actually have a need or use, a need to use. It is a deep desire to use, which again is called a disease, unfortunately, although that is very healthy. So how do you tell the difference? I would honestly call a sponsor, get a friend, ask yourself a question, check in with yourself. What's the narrative you're building in your mind? Is the narrative something along the lines of, again, I can get away with it, it's going to be my last time, and nobody will know? Then you're obviously telling yourself an excuse. If the need is that you're really, really struggling, you should also call a friend in that instance too. All right, number 4. Why do I keep using when I genuinely don't want to? I love this because I always talk about this with tons of clients. Literally, it's fascinating. Every client that I deal with does not want to use. They don't want to use. They're sitting there in front of me. They don't want to use. I know that, but they keep using. And why do I keep using? I'm going to move this back up here to the top because we're on number 4. Well, you've got tons of habits, thinking habits, emotional habits, and physical habits. You've got literally tons of habits that are conditioned for you to go use. Every cue is a trigger. The toilet's a trigger for you to use. The bathroom, the stress that you're having, everything is triggered for you to use. So therefore, it's very hard for you not to want to use. All right. So what do you keep using? Habits, which takes time. You can't go to a personal training session, have a six-pack after 1 minute, after one session. You know, you've got literal habits, terrible habits around your diet. So this is terrible habits, quote unquote, that's making you use. You also, and that would be like number 1 on my list. You also might have a chemical addiction towards this substance, depending on what it is. Let's say if you have cigarettes there, as someone commented, or you have cocaine, where you have a certain amount of a literal chemical addiction towards these things. And when you do have that, it's going to be very hard when you come off those things. Very depressing. All right, so that might be another instance of reason of why in your mind you don't want to use, but you keep using, because you've got years of habits, years of thinking, years of believing lies to yourself. So again, the lies are going to be very strong in the back of your mind. All right, number 5. What are quiet relapse signs before the obvious mess up happens? So the relapsing is a process. That's what we would call it, and that's what we say it is. Relapsing is a process. Hit the subscribe button if you're new here as well. I really appreciate that. So relapsing isn't a momentary thing. It isn't just like I've relapsed and that's it, I've screwed. Actually, it is a process. So how do we know it's a process? Well, we know it's a process because 5 days ago you were triggered. 2 days ago you were invited to go on a night out. That day you had an argument with your partner, and now you're in the pub just having 1 or 2 drinks and you think you can get away with it, or you think you can have 1 pint 2 pints. You know, you can think you can be okay with that, but then again, you go use. So it's way more of a process, question number 5, than it is just instant, I've relapsed and I've failed now. No, there's stuff that's built up upon it. So you got to watch out for your emotions that you're having throughout that day. Watch for the people that you're hanging around with or who you're getting texts from. Those are the most people who you're going to use with. You trust your friends the most. You love your friends the most. Why wouldn't you go out with your friends? You're going to go out with your friends, but your friends use the most. So you trust them, you love them, you want to be with them, yet they're the ones using. They're the ones that are holding the key up to your nose. They're the ones stabbing you in your back. You know? Well, I appreciate that, Diago. I've actually heard that before. Kevin De Bruyne is absolutely world class. I mean, I'm trying to be world class in addiction, to be honest with you. I want to make assists to all these rehab facilities. I want to make tons of goals on these free kicks. You know what I mean? I want to make tons of goals. I'm not selling drugs in any way. I tell you that. I don't know why my mind went there. All right, number 6. How do I handle the thought I can do it once or just this weekend? Well, just funny that you mentioned that, because in question number 1 or question number 2, we were talking about these thoughts that people have. I can get away with it. It's just this one time. It's nobody will know. And there's a few more. Like I literally just made a video on it today. You can check out my channel. You will have a video on these lies that the addicts will tell themselves. So what's that one? I can do it once just this weekend. Yeah, it'd be like I'll stop at 12 p.m. It's 12 a.m. It's just this last weekend. You know, in gambling, it's like I can win it back. It's you know, it's an unbelievable amount of lies that people will tell themselves. You know, in porn, it's like nobody else hurts me. Nobody else is gonna know, or it's only hurting myself. I'm the only one using it. Has to be heroin is a you know, there's definitely an argument to be had. There's definitely an argument to have. Some would say food, and there's an argument to be had there as well. You know, in heroin, you really know you've fucked up. You know, you really know you've fucked up when you're doing heroin, but you really know you've effed up when you're when you're eating a ton of food. Depends of your weight. I would say you're really messed up if you're struggling to walk after 60 years old. But of course, Norm, it's I can easily agree with you, easily. Reese, I actually didn't see you there, by the way. That's fantastic, and that's brilliant. I really appreciate you from there being there. And I was like, Thiago, is that Thiago? I was like, is that Thiago? I was like, that's brilliant. That's bloody brilliant. It's great to see you here. Download my app, by the way. Bulletproof Recovery. The other way around, is it? Bulletproof Recovery on the App Store right now. You can literally download it. It would be fantastic to see it. All right, what's number 7? Number 7 is, why does shame make me want to use more? And how do I break that loop? Well, shame is actually the thing that does keep people trapped. People are like, I'm using, I feel bad, I keep letting my family down, you know? But the fact you keep letting your family down and you feel like you're letting your family down is actually making you feel bad. So therefore, again, you want to go escape. You're taking these substances. We all know substances is for escaping, running, filling a void, and getting your fix. Yeah, fix to your shame, fix to your deep emotional dissatisfaction in yourself. So therefore, of course, you're going to go use. Yeah, of course, you're going to go use. I appreciate you for watching, by the way, because you give me watch time, and that's very important on this endeavor. I got a few questions, few queries, few answers. All right. Pro clubs. I only just found that there, by the way. Pro clubs is the addiction. That is hilarious. All right. Number 8. So, yeah, how do you break the loop? Well, look, shame is, if you look at the book Power versus Force, it's a great book. I don't know, I think it's by Dawkins or something like that. And it basically shares the emotional template of what's the worst and the highest frequency, quote unquote, that someone can feel emotion-wise. Joy and euphoria is like really up there in terms of the highest ones. And enlightened is the highest of high. Mother Teresa, Nelson Mandela, and you know, Gandhi was up there and whatever. Lowest forms of emotion that you can feel is this shame, regret, guilt, sorrow, all this type of stuff. And having an addiction will make you have a lot of regret. And I wonder when that time is coming. So, so there you go. You have these lowest feelings. So shame is one of the worst emotions that you can feel. But there's a thing called shame shivers on addiction. So question number 6 here again. Number 7. Shame shivers is basically when you're on your recovery journey, you're going to think of these images, and these images are like really negative, really toxic. They just pop into your mind. And you're like, why the fuck did I do that? How did I do that? Why did I do that? Those are called shame shivers, and they're very normal in your recovery journey. How you deal with them in your mind is down to your tools, your coping strategies, or the therapist that you're working with, or even just the research that you go do. The research you go do is like very important. Like you should actually read books about recovery. You should actually go to AA meetings or CA meetings. Those will actually give you tools and advice. Like, I mean, you should actually go there. All right, let's go on. So So your coping strategies. You break the pattern by pattern interruption. All right, number 8. I gotta go in about 5 minutes. 5 minutes. All right, number 8. What should I say to myself? Kevin De Bruyne, that's lovely. What should I say to myself when the brain starts bargaining? You've been good, you deserve it. I should have said that for the other question, 6, in terms of how do I handle the thought, I can deal with whatever. Yeah, how do you deal with the thought? Is that what I said? Number 8, how do I cope with the, oh no, that's boredom. What should I say to myself when the brain starts bargaining? You've been good, you deserve it. Again, fundamentally, you need to just absolutely reject that thought. There is no exploring that fantasy land of maybe because I've been good, because I've succeeded, because it's a no. You have to say no, and you have to be bulletproof on that. Again, talking about bulletproof, download the Bulletproof Recovery app on the App Store. You can do it right now. You don't explore the ideas of heroin. You don't explore the ideas of taking crack. So why are you exploring the ideas of taking your addiction when it comes to I deserve it? Stop exploring the field of I want to do it. It could be nice. Maybe this time will be better. It's not. Stop exploring the field. Stop bargaining. Start realizing they're not your thoughts. Yeah, they're not your thoughts. You never came up with the thought of I can do it this weekend, or I can finish at 12, or I deserve it. You didn't come up with the thought I deserve it. You just heard it and you're like, oh, I like the sound of that, so I'm going to start using that. The reality is no. You stop bargaining. Be absolutely bulletproof. Again, download in the App Store with the thought of stopping. Stop exploring those lands. Question number 8 there. All right, question number 9. How do I cope with boredom when sobriety feels flat and life feels pointless? I'll tell you, life feels pointless. Are you kidding me? All right, how do you deal with boredom? Boredom, I would say, again, if you go into CA meetings, NA meetings, or you go into getting a sponsor, or you get into rehab facilities, all of those things are actually very enjoyable. Again, the context is terrible, but it's all very enjoyable because you have people that are you around. You will do activities like in AA. You can join a golf society, right? Or you can do some sort of biking club, right? Like these are literally part of your recovery journey that you could use and do good things on. Start a new hobby, right? Literally take new interest in your addiction. For me, it was around books. What do I mean by books? Like it's like The Chimp Paradox by Dr. Steve Peters is a fantastic book on my recovery journey that changed my mindset. So getting into books, journaling, meditating, these are new hobbies and habits. And we're talking about question number 9 here. These new habits you should be getting stuck into, because these new habits are going to change the direction of your life. Because the old habits, you were taking drugs and you were sniffing them off girls' legs. That was me. Thinking I was Jack the Lad. That was the cool one. I could do it. I think I was Al Pacino in Miami Vice. Yeah, that was me. All right, what's number 10? All right, so boredom, new hobby. Number 9 still. New hobbies, new friends, or same ones but new actions. Connecting with family members in some way. What else? Pro clubs, of course. Pro clubs. You got to play pro clubs. Okay, you know what I mean? I'll see you in 2030. All right, FIFA 30. Oh, don't fall there. Jesus Christ. All right, question number 10. This is going to be my last one because, like I mentioned, I do got to go. All right. What do I do when I'm sober, but I'm still angry, anxious, depressed, and I miss the escape? Interesting. So what do you do when you're angry, anxious, depressed? Get therapy. I mean, this is the simplest first answer. What should you do? You should get therapy. I'd also figure out why you are getting angry. What is triggering you? What is causing you to become angry on a consistent basis? Apart from the normal elements of recovery, you're going to be feeling withdrawals. You're going to be feeling agitated, lack of fatigue, lack of sex drive. All of these things within the first 1 or 2 weeks, give or take. You're going to be feeling that for a period of time. Eventually, that will subside, and you're going to be feeling a lot better, 10 times better. I've heard people, I say 1,000 times better, but I've heard many people say 100 times better, right? So, goodness gracious. Subscribe to the channel. I got to go here. Answer that question next time. Download the Bulletproof Recovery app. You can get one of my 2 books on Amazon right now. Hit the like button as well. I really appreciate that. And I look forward to seeing you in the next live to increase my good health watch time. You can follow me on Instagram, Greg the Expert. With that being said, have a great night. Good luck. Cheers. Bye-bye.